Oof.
But you want to talk about ugly teams?
Ooh,
How about
yeah.
the Panthers hosting the Dallas Cowboys, who are also on a blood frenzy right now?
This is a game where I think it's going to be another old-fashioned ass whooping.
Yeah.
I don't think Carolina has any chance at winning this game.
There's a chance. There's a reason that they play the game.
Well, there's always a
I-
chance. There's always a chance, but it's not greater than like 15%.
I always
Basically,
say
for me.
I always say that when I think it's gonna be a badass whipping, there's a chance.
There is, because I mean,
ESPN
any given
they
Sunday,
got the matchup predictor at 15.6%. So they have it a little bit more than 15% according to ESPN.
Oh, I was close then. I was close. I'll take it.
Yeah, I don't know. There's not a lot to talk about here. Like the Thielen is a lot. I would start Thielen this week.
What about Bryce Young?
No. He's going to get sacked too many times. It's just what's going to happen. He's going to get sacked too many times, and it's going to ruin his fantasy stock. Even without the turnovers, I don't know if, even if he doesn't commit very many turnovers, like, he's going to get sacked too many times. And, if I'm Carolina, I'm not panicking about the Bryce Young experiment yet. I think he's got 2 full seasons left after this year before the panic button starts really setting in. But, it's the woes you're dealing with. Bryce Young is that supreme talent player, and we've seen this with several other players that are in that suite of talent, whether it be Trevor Lawrence.
Imagine if the Colts
Jared
gave
Goff,
up on Peyton Manning his first year, right? When he threw like 15 or 16 interceptions, it was just horrible.
Yep.
So like that's why I always hate when you like, it's fair to dog on a quarterback, but you can't just outright call him a bust, or any really player for that matter, after 1 year.
Yeah, unless it's like
I think each
bad.
It has to be bad. But
Yeah.
I think each player at least deserves 2 years.
Yeah.
To kind of see what you get from them, and then after that second year, if they're still not performing well, then that's when you can kind of question it. I'm cool with that, because that's when I usually do it, and that's when the bust will kind of come into play. If they're bust or not, that conversation will start to happen if he's playing like this next year as well.
So, do you think if the Panthers finish around 500 next year, the discussion of Bryce Young being a bust will come up?
If they finish above 500 next year, that's what you said, yeah?
Around 500?
Around 500? That
7-9, 9-7,
probably not. I don't think so, because that would still be a hell of an improvement on this year. Right? If you go from really maybe at best 3 wins this year to 9 wins next year, that's a good improvement.
Yeah, I think like 7-9 wins is the target next year.
Yeah. Because I don't think they win any other games this year. I think they lose out. So going from 1 win to 7 wins, or 1 win to 8 wins, or whatever, I think that's a marketable improvement, and that it'll die down for sure.
Yeah,
because for them to do that, they're gonna have to play well, but they're also gonna have to surround them with some more weapons.
And the Bears are kind of looking like masterminds right now. If the Panthers don't win another game this season, the Bears will have 2 of the top 5 picks at the trajectory it's going. And
they're currently projected the 2 and the 3.
The number 1 pick. Because they got that from the Panthers.
Now, okay.
Because the Cardinals won last week. The Cardinals were projected to be number 1 overall. Now they are projected to be number 2 or number 3. But the Bears are also in the top 5. I think they're at number 4 right now.
I'm looking it up right now. Yep. So the Bears are projected the number 1 and the number 5 right now.
Number 5. So and the thing is, you got to really sit down and be honest with yourself. Do you think that it could go either way? Do you think the Justin Fields experiment is over?
It's hard to say, man. It really is, because you look at Justin Fields and you're like, that's a talented quarterback. But then you look at the weapons he has around him and you're like, it's hard to succeed in that.
Yeah, but also there's plays where you sit there and you watch Justin Fields and you're like, what the hell are you doing? So I think the Bears' best decision, either way in this draft, would not be drafting a quarterback. The reason being,
Marvin Harrison.
Marvin Harrison being one, but another big reason is it's just like, okay, you have Justin Fields, and you haven't really given him a fair shake, like, of good weapons and a good offensive line, but you can obtain those, like, critical assets to move forward with and see if Justin Fields is that guy. And if he sucks again next year, then you could draft a quarterback and you don't have to pick him up. But you can go and extend him on that 5th-year option and you get a cheap rookie deal. And then all of a sudden now the Bears have a really good fucking team, especially if they get Marvin Harrison. Like, is it unrealistic for us to say if the Bears get the number 1 overall pick from they have it from the Panthers via the Bryce Young trade? Let's say that the Bears do go and get Marvin Harrison, and they go and get a couple weapons or build the offensive line. They got a good offensive line. They need a new center, and they probably need an upgrade at right tackle to be elite. But they do have pieces like Tevin Jenkins and shit that are elite. We'll highlight the more during the Bears and Lions game. But
what I want to happen right now is, I know we're getting a little sidetracked. We're taking a little side quest. Yeah. So that's fine. Is the Bears are probably going to, we obviously don't know what they're going to do with that number 1 pick. But I think there's a high chance that they trade back like they did last year. And I think the Patriots will be in the running for that. Because they're currently sitting at 4. So the Bears could trade back to the 4 spot and get like a 1st or 2nd or both next year or something like that. And then just reloading up.
Yeah.
That's when they could draft like the offensive lineman or Marvin Harrison or whoever they want to draft at that point. And then the Patriots can get their quarterback of the future, hopefully.
Yeah, and the Bears defense is pretty bad too. Eddie Jackson's a good safety, but he's losing a little bit of speed, but at safety it's not as big of a deal as corner. But Eddie Jackson is a stud at safety. And they do have some pieces, but they could really transition into a really good team. And I think Justin Fields could be the answer. And I think the Bears are in a supreme position, considering that they have Justin Fields for 2 more years guaranteed if they want. And they don't necessarily need to move on from him yet. And because of that, you build your assets around him. I'm always of the philosophy that if you're building a dynasty team, the quarterback is the last position you pick. You get your occasional guys along the way, like your Peyton Mannings and your Trevor Lawrences that build through your franchise. Then you get guys that are occasionally like your Tom Brady's or your Brock Purdy's that don't get drafted high, but are just backup guys that end up taking on the role and playing good. And then you get guys like your Ben Roethlisbergers and your Phillip Rivers and your, and, your Eli Mannings, which all went to really good teams. And those 3 quarterbacks that I just mentioned, those last 3, they were all out of the same draft class. They have 5 Super Bowl appearances, and they all went to good teams. Tom Brady had 6, obviously, but if we take Tom Brady out of that discussion specifically with the undrafted free agents or low draft pick guys, then all of a sudden now you're looking at like very few Super Bowl appearances. You're looking at like Doug Flutie and shit. But then, like Dan Marino was another quarterback that went into a good situation immediately, and he made a Super Bowl appearance in his 2nd season and then never went back. But, you don't need to have a quarterback that's been in the league for 5 years to make it to the Super Bowl. Several teams have proven that. And with that being said, like if I'm the Bears, I would take this time with Justin Fields, figure out if he is the guy and give him the assets that you need, a good defense and good receiving weapons. And I don't know if I would trade that 1st overall pick because there's a chance Marvin Harrison won't be on the board at number 4.
Yeah, the Giants are sitting right there at 3. And they need a legit weapon, a legit wide receiver 1 on their team, because right now they're just kind of mixing between the two. But anyways, who are you starting from Dallas? Kind of reel it back in. No, you're good. I love that. Just trying to reel it back into the game. Who are you starting from Dallas? And then, give me your starts for Dallas. Give me your starts from Dallas, and then give me your surprise start from the game. Someone you think who has boom potential.
So I'm sitting here and I'm like looking through it. You know, anybody that's wearing a star this week, I'd start. Gallup, Cooks, Lamb. I feel comfortable starting all of them. And I don't think any of them are sleepers at this point. Pollard, Dowdle, both been playing very good ball. Rico is going to be much more prevalent in the flex spot. We talked about it a little bit last episode. He is getting touches, and I think he is a good start at flex. Tony, he's a good RB2. I don't think he's quite cracked RB1 yet, but he's up there. Dak Prescott, I'm feeling very confident starting against this Panthers defense. I wouldn't be surprised if he has another 400-yard game.
Very possible.
And with that being said, you switch over to the Panthers side of the ball. I don't think you disagree on anything I just said, correct?
Nope. I'm cool with it.
Jake Ferguson.
That's why I didn't say anything, because I disagreed.
Yep. On the Panthers side of the ball, I would not start Bryce Young this week. Chuba Hubbard, I am not a big fan because Panthers are going to get behind early. They're going to be passing the ball a lot. And that's why I think Jonathan Mingo is going to be my sleeper for this week. I'm big on Thielen. He's a lock.
Jonathan Mingo.
Yeah.
I actually don't hate that. I don't hate that.
Jonathan Mingo, cool you're looking at the matchup discrepancies. Who he's going to be matching up with would be Jordan Lewis or Noah Igadamohini or whatever the fuck. He has one of those
I love the
weird last names that I, got to go for it. I'm sorry I butchered it, but, and like Stephon Gilmore is going to be matched up against Adam Thielen or DJ Shark. They might put him against DJ Shark because he's more of the speed threat, and I wouldn't be surprised because the Cowboys are known to do that. They'll swing their corners around. But Stephon Gilmore, definitely could be matched up against DJ Shark. That opens up Adam Thielen. He might match up against Adam Thielen. DeRon Bland would be able to cover Thielen pretty effectively, but I don't think he'll be able to cover Shark as effectively. So that's why I think the game plan for the Cowboys would be to switch them around. Because, Thielen's just going to be a lock, 5 catches, 50 yards, maybe a TD. He's just a lock for that. And you recognize that if you're a defense, you let him get that. But the thing is, you look behind him and, Jordan Lewis is probably going to be the guy that's going to be playing man-to-man against Jonathan Mingo. And I wouldn't be surprised if Jonathan Mingo goes out and gets 8 targets, 4 catches, 60 yards. And if he gets a touchdown on top of that, that's 16 points.
Make a good argument. What's your final score? What do you think it's going to be? You think it's going to be an ass whooping from hell?
Yeah, I think it's going to be 42, 14, 17 Panthers. Or Cowboys, excuse me.
I was about to say, you got some explaining to do. I got some questions.
What the fuck were you just talking about for the last 10 minutes, Shane?
Were you just fucking with me hardcore and you just wanted a plot twist, a major plot twist?
Yeah, no, not quite.
I'm kind of on the same boat. I think it's gonna be 40. Okay, hold on. I want to look at the over/under. I want to see what the over/under is real quick. So currently it's 42.5.
I take the over on that.
If it goes over, it's only because of Dallas and nothing to do with Carolina, because I think Carolina scores no more than 10 points. Yeah. So I'm going to go 42-10.
42-10. We both have Dallas taking 42 points on them.
Yeah, I think they're going to score often and they're going to score often and easy.